Beat Making Basics.
What's good, YouTube? Beat Making Basics back again with another dope video. If you're new to my channel, please do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. Also, go ahead and hit that thumbs up if you like the video, and leave me a comment. I do respond to those. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if you have any other content you want me to post, different things like that. Without further ado, let's jump into today's content. What we're going to be covering is an ultimate song arrangement tutorial for trap beats specifically. Okay, so I'm gonna be showing you what you could do to arrange your trap beats in Logic Pro 10, so that artists want to jump on them, different things of that nature. All right, so I had this beat. It's basically the beat that we're working on the last video. I'm just gonna give you just a little sample. I'm gonna play the intro and the hook and then the first verse, and then I'm gonna start breaking down each section of what I did to make sure the beat flows properly. So let's go ahead and listen to the intro, the hook, and the first verse, and then I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into tutorial mode. All right, cool. That's enough. That's enough right there. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right. First thing is the actual format, the layout of how we're going to do the beat. Nowadays, beats are a little bit shorter than what they used to be. Before, songs would be 4 and even 5 minutes long. Then it started going to about 3 minutes. Now your beats are going to be anywhere between 2 minutes and 3 minutes. I mean, 3 minutes is really max. And so the format that I would follow here when it comes to trap beats is just go ahead and get right to it in the intro. Don't do long intros. Do like maybe a 4-bar intro. That's what we have going on right here. And then go into a series of doing an 8-bar hook and 16-bar verses. And as you can see here, we have 3 verses. These are our verses. 1, 2, 3. So those are 3 16s. And then I have 4 actual hooks. So I have this is an 8-bar, 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 and 8-bar. Okay. As you can see, I did color code the chorus or the hook, just to make it easier to kind of see what's what. How you do that is you would just highlight everything on the hook or whatever, and then go over here to the very top left of the screen under these little bars right here, and this is called your toolbar. If you click that and scroll all the way over to the right, this is your colors, and then you can pretty much change the color to whatever you want on there. I made them purple. I like purple or whatever, and it also helps easily distinguish certain things. So what you would want to do is go ahead and do that for each hook part, and let's just break this down. Now, first of all, on your intro, you want to keep that as basic as possible. I would say there shouldn't be any drums on it, and just leave it pretty much bare and just let it go all the way through. Again, since you're only playing 4 bars, there's not too much you got to do on it. The next thing you want to make sure you do is like a measure before the hook drops is go ahead and add some type of a transitional sound. For me, what I did is I just went to this, I have a bell sound, and I reversed the bell sound. Okay, so I have this quick sampler. I dragged it into the quick sampler. I put a fade on it, and then I clicked reverse, and this is what it's going to sound like. And I have this other sound here that I added just to add a little bit more of a transition sound. So we have those two. And then to make sure that it really does do real good as far as a transition, I added a snare roll right here. So I have this snare roll, and pretty much all I did here is kind of did a basic roll. You feel me? And on the quantization, I did it as triplets, 1/24. So that's what I have going for the transitions, is a snare roll, a reverse bell, and then another transitional sound. I also went ahead and put my beat tag like right before all of that. So it's coming in like basically halfway in, and then it's just gonna go straight into the hook. All right, and on the hook, what I did just to make sure there's variations, because what you want to do is basically around like every 4 bars you want to change up something to where it's keeping the listener engaged into your beat. And so what I did to do that is I dropped the kick, okay, dropped out the kick 4 bars out of the hook, and then I brought the kick right in on the last 4 bars. And so let's listen to that, and you'll see how it adds a little bit more variation. Another thing I did to make sure that there's a differentiation between the hook and the verses is I added this second melody part. And what this is basically a copy of the main melody, but I pitched it down some. I'll let you listen to what it would sound like without it. Let's check it out. As you can hear, it kind of sounds more like a verse like that. So that's why I added this other melody part in here. Just doubled it up and played it an octave lower. And this gave it a little bit more of a vibe. So let's go into the verses. The first 8 bars, what I did in the first actual 4 bars of the 8 is I kept it bare, and I added this other bass sound in here just to give it a whole nother dynamic instead of keeping, you know, the same 808 pattern going. So I did this this kind of a droney sounding bass. I used Octave Deluxe, and I created I used this Yeezy bass, and I actually filtered out a lot of the highs on it and added this R bass to it just to boost it up a little bit, and it sounds like this. Kind of a menacing sound to it. And then what I did is I didn't really bring in a whole lot of the drums. I just brought it in the clap just to kind of keep it building. And on the second part of that 16, so on the latter 8 bars of that verse, the first verse, what I did is I changed up the melody. So instead of it being a high-pitched melody, I switched it to the lower-pitched melody, and then I switched it back to the high-pitched melody on the end of that 8 bars. And the reason why I did that again is every 4 bars, you really want your beat to kind of be changing up some. You don't want it to be too change it. You don't want it to change up so bad that, you know, it's all over the place, but you want the listener's ears to always kind of be, you know, guessing what's going to be next. And so basically I went ahead and brought in the drums. I brought in some of the hi-hat sounds, and then I left the main hi-hat for the second part of this 8 bar of the 16. So check this out. And as you can hear, like 1 measure before the actual hook comes back in, I go ahead and cut out a lot of the drums, 808s, everything like that. And I just have just the melody playing and then just the actual transition that I created here. So we got the, you know, this rev sound, the bell, the reverse bell, and then the snare roll, you know. And I actually added a little more variation on this snare roll. I actually should just go ahead and name that snare roll all the way and do it like that. So now let's go into the second hook. If you look on here, it's pretty much exactly the same. Hooks are going to be pretty much the same all the way through. You can go ahead and change up the hook sometimes, like towards the end, just to add a little variation. But for this beat, I just kept the hook the same. Now, when it came to the second verse, what I did is I switched up some stuff. Now, I still kept this bass going, but instead of playing the same melody part, I actually went over here and doubled everything up. And on this one, I used halftime on this, okay? And so this is how it's gonna sound. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of that. And it's gonna sound like this. And and as you can see, I'm also adding some more elements in this second verse, on the second half of that first 8 bars. So on this first verse, I only had the clap going. On this one, I have the clap going and the hi-hats and this open sound. So you can see how the beat is actually building as we're going throughout the song. So let's just play that. Just letting it build, letting it get a vibe. All right, so on the second part of the second verse, so this last 8 bars of the second verse, I went ahead and just let all the drums come in, but I switched up the melody. So now we have this high pitched melody here, and then at the end we're gonna bring back in the low pitched melody with the halftime on it. And of course we're gonna drop out everything at the end and bring in our transition. And actually what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and bring that same snare roll that I brought in right here. I like how I added the extra little flavor to that. So bring that in like so. Let's kind of go ahead and listen to that. All right, so we keep on going here. We're going into our third hook and then also the third verse here. So the hook obviously is going to be the same. On this third hook, I did some more differentiation here. It's still the same melody, still the same pattern, but again, instead of playing it the same way, so like this first one, we had a higher pitch one. This second one, we had a lower pitch one. This one, I took a different lower pitch one, and then I went to the high pitch one here. Still the same joint on the bass. As you can see on this right here, we brought in the clap and the snare. So we're just building each time. We're building, you know what I mean? So we have a clap and a snare this time on the first 8 bars leading into the second 8 bars with the hi-hats. Listen to this. And so as you can see, what I did is I did a little bit of an effect right here on this verse, this high pitched melody. And the reason why I did that is just to add just a little bit more just like unpredictableness to this. And what I did is I actually used a remix effect. I put latch down on here and then I just held this down while I did it. You know what I'm saying? That's simple. And then we're going to go into the last part, the last 8 bars of that 16. And then I just pretty much went in over here to this melody with the halftime and then it went back to the high melody. So let's listen to that. I kept the drums going all the way through on that one. And then, of course, 1 bar or 1 measure right before the hook, we put our transitional sounds. I also used the remix effect on this one too. As you can kind of hear here, I'm just going to go ahead and push A to show the automation of it. If I go over here and show you like the filter, I put a filter on it and I basically just raised the frequencies on that. So if I was to click on this remix effect, you can kind of see I just started right here and just moved it on up manually. And while Latch is recording, basically, or while Latch is initiated, it's going to record anything you do on here. So you got to be very careful. Like even if you move this up or down or anything that you touch on here, Latch is going to pretty much record that for you. Now I don't want to mess up anything, so I'm gonna get off that track. And that's pretty much what I did on this. And then to lead it out here or finish it up, I just went ahead and played the hook again. And then what I did on the outro is I played the high melody and the low melody. And then I just faded out. I cut off the last little 8 bar or last little 4 bars here and faded it out there. So this is how the outro sounds. Yeah, so I just went in here and automated that fade. Okay, so that's pretty much how you can arrange your trap beats. Just again to give you a simple formula here. Again, you could do 1 or 2 verses or 3. I would recommend probably like 2 to 3 verses at least. I'll probably say 3 on this one. That's what I did here. Make sure your verses are building. You know what I mean? Make sure your verse 1 is not exactly the same as your verse 2, not exactly the same as your verse 3. And again, just keep in mind all those things that I taught you to make different variations, okay? Appreciate y'all watching. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on this video. And if you're new, make sure you're subscribed. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. We're out.